In this video, we're going to be editing the parasailing editing image. So, if you do not already have this image open on your screen, you're going to go to File, Open, or hit Command O. Open the photo, select the parasailing editing image that we saved at the end of the last video, and hit Open once you've selected it. Mine is already open, so I don't have to do that. We're going to start off with the Zoom tool. The Zoom tool is over here on the tool palette. It is represented by the magnifying glass. You can also hit Z on your keyboard. If I click the Zoom tool, you'll notice the option bar changes to give you the options for the Zoom tool. Okay. Also, your cursor has changed. It is now a magnifying glass with either a plus sign or a minus sign, depending on which option you have selected. We want the plus sign. We're going to zoom in on the parasailer, and we're going to click right in the center of the parasail. And what you should notice in several different places is that the magnification has changed, which it should. We're now at 66.7%, which is shown here, here, and down here. So you have 3 different locations to find out what magnification level you are at. If this is not enough for you, or you will have another tool active perhaps, maybe you don't want to switch tools and go into the Zoom tool. Instead, you can use the navigator palette. Okay, the red box that is around the image is what we are looking at, and that can actually be moved around. Clicking and dragging will scroll and pan the image around, so that way you are seeing exactly what is inside the red box. The magnification box here can actually be typed in. So if I want to bring it up to 100%, type in 100, hit enter, and then that will change. There's also a bar here with mountains. Smaller mountains is a zoom out. The bigger mountains is a zoom in. Or you can move the slider itself. Whichever one is easiest for you. And you will figure this out as you go and move along. When editing an image, there may be times where you need to place something precisely or crop something precisely, so you are going to need rulers. The rulers are already on my screen. They appear at the top and on the left. If yours are not there, that is perfectly fine. We will turn those on right now. To view the rulers, you can go to View, Rulers. Okay, I will turn them off. And you can tell they were turned on not only because they were on the screen, but because they were checked, and turn them back on. Another way of doing this is hitting Command R to turn them off, Command R to turn them back on. The next step we are going to work on is cropping. We are going to crop or trim away some of the blue sky so the photo focuses more on the parasail and the parasailer. The goal of most cropping is to make the most important feature in the original photograph stand out. And in this photo, it is the parasailer. Many photographers and graphic artists use the rule of thirds when placing the focus of an image. So that is the same thing we are going to do as well. We've just finished our rule of thirds topic. So we're going to try and crop this image so that way the parasailer and the parasail land on 2 of the hot spots in the image. The crop tool is located over here in the tool palette, right here. You could also hit C on your keyboard. And if you did not turn on your rulers, please do that now. It is Command R, or go to View, Rulers. Make sure that is checked. Okay, to crop, we are going to start our cursor at the 1-inch mark, and we can tell where our cursor is because of the little lines that move around with our cursor. We're going to start at the 1-inch mark, all at the top, click and drag a box around the parasailer. We want to cut out a lot of the blue sky. We are going to move down to 3 1/4, which is right about there, and 5 1/8, to the left and right. So your image should look just like this. Once you let go of your mouse, your screen will change like this. And the Photoshop actually gives you the rule of thirds lines on your screen. The image can now be adjusted a little bit more if the need is there. So that way it meets exactly what you're trying to do. If you don't like this crop, you can hit Escape on your keyboard and it will cancel out, just like that. So now let me do that again. Start at 1, bring it down to about here, and then I'll fine tune it in the screen. When you do come to a decision that you like, you're going to hit Return, and as you'll notice, everything else in the image is erased. The image has now become a lot smaller, and there is nothing else. If we look at our navigator pane, this image that we have now cropped takes up the whole navigator pane. There is nothing to slide around to. Everything else is gone. We are now going to save our image. We are not going to change its name, so we don't need to go to Save As, which allows you to change its location and its name. We're going to save it as the name we have because we are still editing the parasailing image. So you can just click Save. Command S also works. If you wanted to save as the image, this up arrow is the Shift button. So this would be Command Shift S for Save As, where Save is just Command S. Now that we have cropped our image, if you don't like the way you've cropped it, there are a few different ways of taking a step back. One way is going to Edit, Step Back. If you click this one, it'll take one step back, so it'll go back one step that you've done. You could also step forward, so if you decide you do like that again, you can step back forward. Shortcut keys for this. This is Option, Command, Z. So if I hit Option, Command, Z on my keyboard, it takes that one step back. The shortcut key to step forward is Command, Z. That takes the step forward again. Also, in our history palette, you can see that we have our crop step right here. If we click back one step, it'll bring us back to when we originally opened, which is the step previous. If we decide we like it again, we click there, and it brings us back to our crop. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a blended border around our image. To make a selection, we have to select what we want the border to be around. In this case, it is everything. We want it around the whole image, which makes it pretty simple. We're going to go to Select, All. Again, the shortcut is Command A. And you will see what I like to call marching ants. They're really black and white little lines that are moving around the image, but they kind of look like little ants marching in a row. So if you hear me refer to marching ants, this is what you're looking for, these marching ants. And you'll notice that it is around the entire image. From here, you're going to go to Select, Modify, Border, and that will bring up the border selection. It's asking you how wide do you want the border to be, and we're going to stick with 100 pixels. For those of you that don't know, a pixel is an individual dot of light that is the basic unit used to create digital images. If we were to zoom in on our parasailing image very close, the closer you go, the more you can see pixels. And now that we're at 1600%, 3200%, you can see the individual pixels in this image. Here are the black ones making up the parasail. Here's some blue ones making up the parasail. And if we move it around, the pixels change throughout the image. So that is what a pixel is. If you ever think of a TV screen, the 4K TVs, they're out. That is being measured in pixels. That is 4,000 pixels in that whole screen. That is what 4K stands for. It's the resolution that it is being measured in. Okay, so as you can see in our marching ants, they have changed and they are now making a border around this picture. But we don't want a square border with square corners. We are going to modify it so that way it has rounded corners. By modifying it, we're going to go to Select, Modify, and Smooth. What Smooth does, smoothing the border adjusts the radius of the pixels in the inner corners of the border and adds them to the selection, resulting in a rounded rectangular border selection, which is what we want. Smooth, we're going to keep it at 50 pixels, hit OK, and the marching ants have now changed. Again, they're still there, they're still marching along, but they are now in a slightly different shape with rounder edges. With our selected area selected, we're now going to fill it with something. And what we're going to fill it with is a white border. So we're going to go to Edit, Fill. Shortcut here is Shift F5, which is at the top of your keyboard. Fill. Now we have a few options to select from. We're going to use white as our contents. You have a couple other options. You can use a pattern, you can use the foreground color, background color, another color, patterns, like I said, 50% gray. We're going to stick with white. Our blending mode is going to be normal, and you have a lot here to select from. I don't have time to go into all of them right now, but it is something to play around with. And our opacity is how clearly or easily it is to see through something. 100% opacity means that it is completely opaque, so you can't see through it. If we went down to 1% opacity, it means you would barely be able to see it. We're going to stick with 100 for now. Click OK. And so now you should have a curved rectangular border around your image. To deselect or get rid of the marching ants, you're going to hit Command D, taking a step back. The marching ants again. You can also hit Select, Deselect. That gets rid of them as well.